What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 11 of Only for the Strong. Today's guest is an online coach and personal trainer based at EMF Fitness over in Australia. Radley, Harahap, how are you, mate?
Hey, good, mate. Excited to be on.
Cool. So I was pretty certain exactly where I wanted to start with you for the first question I wanted to put to you. And that is, in my opinion, personal training, online coaching, and working with clients is a profession that is extremely glorified and overhyped. The reality is 90% of people don't get past the first 12 months. So how have you been able to grow and sustain a client base for several years while also packing up your life and your business and moving across the ditch?
Yeah, you did right. I mean, people think it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows when you get started as a personal trainer. It sounds like you're going to be making a good hourly wage and you're going to have heaps of clients given to you when you start at a new gym, but it's definitely not the way. It takes a long time getting set up. It's never going to be smooth sailing in your first 6 months. But if you can get through the first 6 months, first year, then you're going to set yourself a lot better up for the future. A lot of it just comes down to being in the gym a lot, meeting new people, getting used to being in that gym environment and getting around people, just trying to find different ways to meet people and get to know them so that you can eventually sign them up as clients down the time. You might meet someone when you first sign up at the gym as a personal trainer, then they don't sign up for another year or another 2 years until they actually become a client. So it's definitely a long game. A lot of people sort of have high expectations straight away. They're going to jump straight in and be crushing it from the first month, but it's just not reality. You sort of have to just knuckle down, just try and find a position where you can just stay in the gym for as long as possible, get a few clients. You don't have to charge a huge amount when you first start out. Start at a little bit lower price, build your way up, get some experience actually working with people is a big thing. Because lots of these certifications are 12-week online certification. Next thing you can be a personal trainer. So it doesn't give you a lot of hands-on experience. When you actually jump in the gym and start working with people, that's going to be when you get a lot of your experience.
Because how long exactly were you operating as a trainer in Dunedin?
Yeah, so I was there at Flex Fitness for just over 5 years. So yeah, and I've been at EMF for 18 months now. So yeah, it's definitely a big shock to the system, going from a full client base, working a ton, making a good wage, and then shifting over here, starting from zero again, which is pretty stressful. But it's one of those things. Obviously, it's a big change working over on the Gold Coast as well. You go into the gym and there's a ton of people who are in really good nick, and it seems really daunting and intimidating. But really, when you come down to it, it's pretty similar to back at home. Just have to do the same things, being in the gym regularly, getting to know people. Don't psych yourself out. Don't assume that people are looking down at you or that sort of thing, because you're thinking the worst.
Yeah. So obviously, you were probably one of the few people I looked to when I was starting my business as someone who had established a really good client base. And you obviously were doing well for yourself in Dunedin. And like you said, it is a big jump to do that move. Can you get into a little bit more what that was actually like? Because it was during time of, I know, COVID and lockdowns and a bit of uncertainty. But on top of that, obviously it was stressful, but how challenging really was it? And did you do that for lifestyle or simply to try and grow your business, or what was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, the main reason why we moved over here was pretty much just for the lifestyle. Like you said, I've always sort of had in my mind that I'd love to move over to Oz, because I lived my whole life in Dunedin beforehand. So sort of had a wee passion to come over here and check out what it's like living in Australia and the gyms and beach scene and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that was probably our main motivation for moving over. And being stuck during COVID as well, when everyone's locked down, stuck at home, you probably start thinking, it looks pretty nice if we could go and live somewhere else. So that probably pushed us along a little bit faster as well. But yeah, it was pretty stressful times. We'd bought a house probably about 12 months before we moved over here. So we'd just been doing that up ourselves, renovating. So that was pretty cool. That was fun. Then got that rented out. So that was taking care of itself. Moved over here, we had a bunch of savings, so that helped out a lot, because it's super expensive when you first move, getting set up with rental bonds, and as you know, moving up to the Mount, rental bonds and all sorts of random stuff like that, buying a car, that was expensive, all that sort of thing. And then gym rent over here is pretty expensive as well, so how it works at the gym that we work at is you get 6 months free, not 6 months, 6 weeks free, and you get 6 weeks half rent. and then after that it's into full rent. So you sort of got that time pressure as well to kick straight into it and start getting some clients. So yeah, for sure.
Did you anticipate, because even with my move up to the mountain from Dunedin, I basically just told myself, I was like, hey, the first 6 months is going to be a grind, and anything I get during that 6 months is extra, but if I can get through that and then start getting in front of a few people, I'll be fine. But obviously moving overseas to a different country, probably some different systems in the gym. How are you sort of going now? Has it been easier or harder than you expected, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's been harder or easier. It's just been different. Like the gyms are completely different demographics back in NZ, whereas mostly like pretty chill, maybe middle-aged people at the gym that I used to work at, whereas over at EMF it's a lot like younger demographic, people are really fit. So my clientele's changed a lot. So that's probably been like the main change for me, is getting used to like marketing my services and my prices for like a different demographic. Like back in NZ, everyone usually did 30-minute PT sessions. Over here, it's 45-minute PT sessions. So that takes a bit of getting adjusted to. And like we've got a really flash gym, but it does get really busy as well. So getting used to, you know, planning workouts around different people in the gym and knowing what time of day it's going to be busy and what time of day it's not. So I guess, yeah, like systems-wise, we're pretty lucky. There's not too many PTs. I think there's 7 PTs at our gym at the moment, whereas some of the gyms over here, there'll be like 18 PTs at one gym. So that probably helped as well, choosing a gym that wasn't like already completely stacked with personal trainers. So,
yeah, for sure. Do you feel like you kind of, sorry to interrupt you, do you feel like you sort of reached your, I guess, ceiling in Dunedin, and now being over in Aussie at a new gym, a different demographic, you've kind of opened yourself up to more growth?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cool change. Like back in NZ, I was well known for doing like the big body transformations, because I'd work with a lot of really unfit people and get them to pretty fit. Whereas over here, it's maybe starting with people who are like pretty fit and trying to get them really fit. So it's been a cool like change for me as well, like different styles of training and nutrition, obviously. So taking it to another level. So yeah, it's been cool having that change. Yeah, it's been exciting for me. Back in NZ, I was, pretty heavily booked. So PT was pretty much taken care of. I'd slowly raised my prices as I'd been training there for longer and longer. So I was pretty capped. Like I still had some more room I could grow, like increasing my prices more in PT, and I was just starting to build into the online space. So yeah, that helped as well moving over, that I had, you know, quite a few online clients, sort of took a bit of the pressure off when we moved as well. So we did have some income coming in. So yeah, I guess just my goals at the moment is just to get back to where I was in NZ. We're completely filling out my PT services, and then in the future looking to build out that online service as well. My sort of goals at the moment.
Cool. So I did this next question. I did have this last, but I'm going to just crack into it now. And that was, what is the long-term vision for your business? Do you see yourself continuing to train people for a big portion of your life, or is there something else sort of on the cards?
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Like being in the gym's my passion. Like started training when I was in my last couple of years at high school, and I've just always loved being in the gym, and naturally always loved helping people. So can definitely see myself coaching for a long time into the future. I like the idea of you know, having a solid PT business, 20 hours a week, and then being able to build my online business on top of that, and then being able to take that down different avenues. Yeah, and then being able to travel overseas and still work online. Just have a bit more freedom as well. But yeah, I think I'll always be training in-person clients because I enjoy it, and it's good money, and it's a good solid space to be in all the time.
What about opening your own facility? Is that something you've thought about?
Yeah, I've thought about it in the past. Definitely, like it would be something cool to do. I don't think it's something that I'm looking at moving into at the moment. One of my my powerlifting coach, Will, just opened up a cool gym down in Burleigh, so yeah, it's been pretty impressive to see him like kitting it out from this. It was like an old CrossFit gym, and he's like completely painted it, got like all this gnarly new powerlifting gear, like blacked it out, so it's real sick. So seeing that, it's pretty motivating. It's like, damn, that's impressive seeing him do it. But yeah, certainly, you know, never know in the future, but at the moment, it's not something that I'm really thinking about.
And what do you enjoy I guess, a bit of a variety and training some clients in gym and then having an online client base? Because I know that's something I do enjoy, having just a bit of a mix.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty different, you know. It's easy when you're in the gym with someone, you can talk them through things, like take it into a lot of depth, like showing them how to do different things. They have questions, it's easy to talk back and forth. So yeah, it's definitely like cool having a bit of both, like thinking about how can you structure things online so that it's really clear for people and you can repeat it all the time, like really good processes. I'm sure that's something that you've looked into as well, like setting up really good processes for online coaching. How do you find that?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I feel like with the online clients, that's most of the game, because I think a lot of people in our space, it's just give people a plan, send them on their way, see you later. And when you do that with online clients, you don't retain them. And so setting up processes and figuring out how to solve problems, and that kind of leads into the next question I had for you, getting a bit more into the X's and O's of training clients and programming for clients. What do you think, or do you see as the most common problem you have to solve in terms of your clients making progress and also, I guess, retaining clients, and how do you go about solving this problem?
Yeah, I guess it's always going to be individual dependent on what the clients are struggling with the most. But what I probably see at the moment at EMF would be just people are really keen to train, so they're more likely to be training way too often, way too hard, and not giving themselves a chance to recover. So they'll be, wanting to train 7 days a week, hour and a half sessions where you've actually got to pull them back, show them that if we track your progress over weeks and months, you don't need to be in the gym absolutely destroying yourself 7 days a week. You can do 4 or 5 good solid sessions, monitor your progress, slowly, progressively overload, and you're going to make much better progress with your body and how it feels and how it looks, rather than annihilating yourself on the ground. Is probably the number one thing that comes to mind there. Nutrition-wise, it's probably the same sort of thing. They're trying to go so hard that they're starving themselves and eating nowhere near enough food to actually fuel their daily living, let alone this hard training as well. So it's probably trying to get them to increase the amount of food that they're eating, but also the quality of food that they're eating as well, to help support that good hard training that they're doing.
Interesting. And so the other thing I respect about you and just you as a coach is that you are a trainer who practices what you preach by pushing yourself in your own training, particularly in powerlifting from what I've seen. How do you manage the dynamic of trying to be both the coach and the athlete? And do you struggle with that balancing act at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always loved training, so I've found it easy to smash out big workouts. And yeah, like you said, the last 3 years, I've been really enjoying the powerlifting side of things. I probably got into powerlifting as a way to get out of the gym that I was working at, because I was getting, I was in the gym so much working with clients that it was actually something else to go and do to get me out of the workspace, because it sort of turns into one when you're working and training in the same place. So yeah, I went and signed up with my friend Bennett Jones, who you know, and he took me through the ropes of powerlifting and showed me everything there. So it was definitely a good way for me to clear my head a little bit, rather than just being in the gym all day long. So go over to the other gym, Valley Strength and Conditioning, train there, go home, have lunch for a bit, then come back and train some more clients. Yeah, I think for my clientele, it actually got a lot of them back in NZ into wanting to do a lot more strength training, like seeing me, whether it be on Instagram or whatever, doing my heavy lifting. They'll be like, oh, that looks really impressive. Like, how does your body feel? And I'd be able to tell them, like, yeah, it feels great to be strong. Like, my body feels really robust. And then they'd be, oh, well, maybe we should start doing more of that. And it actually helps to get a lot of them more motivated to train, which is cool as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like you're someone who is quite big on just environment, and if you don't necessarily like an environment or it's not conducive to what you're doing, you'll move. And so that's the other thing I was going to kind of ask you is, in terms of culture and the sector we're in, I feel like it can get a little bit toxic and a little bit just not conducive to progress. How do you navigate, I guess, working in a space where there is a lot of toxicity, but also there are some great people? Do you look to kind of keep your head down, do your own thing, or align with certain people in gyms that might help, I guess, elevate your business?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like an awesome opportunity to have these other like-minded, smart people in the gym. So making the most of that and actually talking to them, like having someone there every day that you can talk to about different business ideas or different training ideas, nutrition ideas, like spitball ideas off each other is awesome. Like, why not make the most of it? There's always going to be some people that maybe you don't gel with as well, but maybe it's more of just a short yarn, how's it going sort of thing, rather than hanging out with or getting on really well with. But yeah, I think it's definitely a cool opportunity to have people who are so like-minded, working with the same people in the same gym. Like if you can spitball ideas together, and most of the time people are pretty receptive as well. Like they want to help you naturally. I haven't met too many people that are like don't want to talk to you just because you're the new PT at the gym. Like everyone's usually super friendly, as long as you're not trying to foul them up too hard at the start, like trying to act all macho or anything like that. Just get into the gym and start talking to the other trainers, get to know them a little bit, and then, yeah, I think it's such a cool opportunity to have other people there.
And how, I guess, crucial has been developing a rapport with your clients over the years been, and what do those relationships look like? Because that's something I've always sort of, I have gotten quite close to my clients, but I've also almost kept a little bit of just held a little bit back to always keep a certain level of professionalism, and also avoid getting too attached when someone might actually end up falling off the wagon or letting me down and that sort of thing. How do you deal with that, and what do the relationships with your clients look like?
Yeah, you're so right. That's tough. Like you get to know someone really well, but then at the same time, it is a business. Like people are going to move on from time to time. Like the longer you do it, I guess you get more used to that. Hey, like you might have someone for a long time, they're doing really well, and then like one of my clients recently moved to the other side of town, so it's like a 30-minute drive from the gym now. So I was like, wow, he's going to be changing gyms. Like it's just a part of it. Like, so I think building that relationship is really important, getting to know people, learning more about their life so you can help them more with their training and their nutrition, understanding more about them. But yeah, you're definitely right. It's still important to realize it's a business relationship. Hey, like it's not going to be, if something comes up, then they might have to move on, but you can still stay in contact. Like there's always online coaching as well. And, you can always catch up with people as well for a chin wag. Like when I was back in Dunedin recently, caught up with a few of my old clients back there, which was awesome. And went back to the old gym that I worked at. So you still get to know people really well, but yeah, it is still a professional relationship as well.
I guess I'm sure you would have found that like when you do develop those relationships, obviously people come and go, but then you do get some really loyal clients that pretty much can keep your business afloat when you do have a big move over to Australia. Are there a few of those key people that are sort of, I guess, been a part of your business pretty much the whole time you've been operating?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've got one client in particular who was like probably in the first 5 clients that ever signed up, and she's still an online client now, like 6.5 years later. So it's pretty crazy. I always sort of think that if you get 3 leads coming in, 2 of them might end up being not much. Like they might train for a little while, or they might not get into training, and then one of them might be the client that stays on for 2 years and you get on really well with, and like you said, they really help you out. So it's kind of just working your way through it. Like people usually have good intentions, right? But sometimes things come up and they end up slacking off a little bit, falling off the wagon. So you just got to try and treat everyone the same. Like this could be the person that's going to go really well and get a huge transformation and be a long-term client, but at the same time, you got to realize that, 1 in 3, it's not going to be every single person's going to be able to jump on and stay with you for years.
Yeah. I think something most trainers struggle with is obviously generating leads and marketing and doing so, I think, in just a genuine fashion that lands well. Obviously, you as a trainer are probably in the small percent of people who have been able to generate leads or new clients and just business for a long period of time consistently in different locations. Do you just kind of wing your marketing and your lead generation, or do you have a little bit of a strategy, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, I guess with my lead generation, the main idea would be whether it's online or in person, it's providing value. So how can I help people out? Might be an Instagram post on, your lower back pain and a couple ideas that might help you to get through it. In the gym, it might be showing someone how to do a different exercise or asking them how their training's going, and then giving them some suggestions. So it would sort of be like providing value first, then you're top of mind, and then providing a chance for them to sign up for coaching. So this might be when you have a special offer. I often do 12-week challenges, which has been a great way for me to build a lot of clients. So when you've built up a lot of a relationship with people already, like providing them with value, and then you have this offering, then people are going to be a lot more likely to sign up for it rather than just constantly putting out different offerings without actually offering people some value first. So I think it can be hard for people to actually put themselves out there and have offer for people to take up. So like a 12-week challenge or first session half price or complimentary week of training. I guess if you can spitball different ideas that you can offer out into your network, whether it be in person through like posters or whether it's online through Instagram posts, etc. Yeah, I think that's one of the best ways to go about it for sure.
Do you enjoy the content creation side of your business, or is it just I guess a necessary evil in some sense?
It's a middle ground, I reckon. Some days I love it, like it's enjoyable, and then other days, like at the moment, because work's been really busy these last sort of 3 months roughly, it gets harder because you're trying to squeeze everything in, so that's when it can take a little bit of the joy out of it. But like I enjoy talking about different training ideas and putting stuff out there, so I definitely enjoy it. Like it's just it does take time, but that's a part of your business as well, like setting aside that time each week to one, plan the post, and then two, actually make the post is just something that you have to get into the habit of doing, hey?
And then
how about
you kind of just touched on it then, with me, about the content. Yeah, I think I do quite a lot of it, obviously, and I think people naturally think I like it, but then even I put a post up last night, like, if I was just focused on myself, I honestly probably would just live out on, like, a farm or a ranch somewhere and just, like, have a home gym and, like, sell another business I don't have to be the front of. You kind of said it best, like, some days I really do enjoy it, and some days not so much, and I think it is more just the type of content I'm putting up, and sometimes I struggle to get my head around the interaction, because I was thinking about this actually this morning. The content I like to make the most is videos of like clients getting after it, like and putting like a gangster song in there, and I love that. I'm like, this is really cool. But what I've noticed is that those videos actually don't get that much great interaction, and unfortunately the videos of me speaking about something that I don't even think is that interesting seems to get more interaction. So even though I know that, to be honest, I still try and make content that I love and I enjoy, because if I was just making content that landed well, I'd probably just chuck in the towel. But in saying that, like, it's not a necessary evil, because it's not evil in a sense that you get to network really well, and even down in Dunedin, like, I think out of all my clients, only really one of them I knew of before I started my business, and at the end of the day, Instagram for me is all my leads come through Instagram. Like, it's no one really goes to my website. Like, it's all through Instagram, and the content gets the interaction that I need there as well. So I just sort of keep rolling along with that. But what I was going to ask you about, because you kind of talked about it then, just discussing training ideas. A lot of people, and it's been more of a recent thing, but debate which type of training style is optimal, and this can be relevant for you programming for your clients, or even just in your own training. A lot of people go back and forth on, you should train progressive overload with more resistance, lower volume, high intensity, or you should just train high volume, go for the pump, high reps. To me, there's a middle ground, and also you can switch between those styles, or change volume and change the resistance. But how do you kind of go about that, I guess, for your own training and then programming clients? Do you have a particular style, or you do like vary it depending on what the person might need?
Yeah, it would definitely depend on what the person needs. I guess with like having a powerlifting background, for me, it's easy. Like after a comp, that's when you'll go into your higher volume, lighter weights, more pumpy style work. Then you'll go into that middle ground, which might be your strength and hypertrophy. So now you're doing some heavy low volume work, some lighter moderate volume work, and then as you get closer to the comp, that's when you'll go like heavy low volume. So typically with clients, it might look something similar to that, so that they're not just doing the same style of training year round. So it might be 8 weeks if we're doing a lot of sets of 12 to 15 to 20 to 30. Then it might be the next 8 weeks a mixture. We've got some sets of 15 to 20. We've got some sets of 5 to 10. Then it might be, let's do a strength phase. Like, let's try and see what we can get your 5 rep max squat, bench, and deadlift up to. Yeah, I think that it's definitely a balancing act. It depends on your goals as well. Like if you're purely hypertrophy focused, maybe you don't need to do much of the strength work, the less than 5 reps. But you can still do, Dorian Yates style is a good fun way to train. Like one all-out set. You can see how you can get a lot of results out of that. Push that for 8 weeks. Then you come back to a different style of training. Now it's 4 sets of 15, and you're getting thrashed because it's something completely different to what you're used to. So, yeah, I think there's good merit in mixing it up throughout the year, not always doing the same style of training year-round.
Yeah, if you had to name, I guess, your favourite push exercise, your favourite pull exercise, and your favourite lower body exercise, what would they be?
Well, squat, bench, deadlift is the easy one, right? Do you want a variation off that? Or
do you have any injuries or anything you're dealing with?
No, I've been really good lately. When I started powerlifting, a big part of that was because I had like a lot of knee troubles. So I thought getting good at squat, bench, deadlift would be a way to help me also get over my knee troubles. I was doing like a sort of online templated program thing before I started with Bennett, and it was giving me like a lot of knee issues, and like my lower body just wasn't feeling very good. So working with Bennett and working with a physio like really helped me get over my knee struggles. Like when I started with Bennett, I think I could squat like about 130 kgs roughly, and now I can squat 210 kgs like completely pain free. So it's been really effective. It was just a slow process.
Did you figure out what your knee issues were kind of pinpointed down to?
Yeah, essentially it was just, like I said earlier in the podcast, was just going way too hard, way too often. So I'd always have the mentality of like, I just love to go 110% effort when I'm training, push the weight, push the volume, and then it was just way too much for my knees to handle. So then I'd rest them up for a week or something. Like, oh, they're feeling a bit better, and then I'd smash myself again with the big squats, lunges, like really quad dominant leg days as well in the program I was doing. And yeah, it was just causing a lot of knee issues. And when Bennett wrote me my first training program, we dialed the volume right back, and he set me percentages. So there was like a set load, and then we just slowly built our way up. Lots of mobility work as well to loosen up my hamstrings and my quads, which was super tight. But really it came down to just load management, like not doing too much too soon, just progressively, slowly working my way up was what helped me get over my knee troubles. So yeah, other than that, yeah, my body's feeling great. If I do a whole lot of low bar squats, then my like right shoulder bicep can get a little bit sort of tight and niggly, but same thing, if I dial the volume back a little bit on the low bar squats, it tends to even itself out. So yeah, no, it's been good. My sort of training goals at the moment, I haven't got a powerlifting comp lined up, but hopefully in the middle of the year sometime I'll look to compete. So at the moment I'm sort of in that, I was just recently doing a big hypertrophy phase, which is lots of high sets, high reps, and now it's sort of in that middle ground where I'm starting to bring back a few different variations like high bar squats, pause deadlifts, close grip bench press. So it's sort of that in between strength and hypertrophy at the moment. So yeah, that's how my training's looking at the moment.
Yeah. After training several years, do you get a bit bored sometimes of like just doing like an arms hypertrophy workout? Because you're so used to like pulling big numbers on compounds, and that stuff is really exciting. So is it hard for you to actually just go in the gym and do like hypertrophy arms?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just don't feel as motivated to get in the gym. Whereas if you know you've got to squat like 200 kgs, you're like getting pumped before the session, like ready to go. Arms is like now after a comp, it's kind of like, oh, not that keen. But then usually once I start, get into the rhythm, it feels really good. It's just beforehand, it's kind of like not as motivating. Like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered. And then once you actually get into it, it's like, yeah, this is fun.
Cool.
How about you?
Awesome.
What do you do to mix it up
so
that you don't get bored of training?
Yeah, well, I've actually been dealing with like I'm not sure if I told you when we saw each other at the wedding the other week, but one of my hips is just like completely knackered. Like it's real bad. Like I've got like two tears in the labrum. I've got no cartilage, and it's so arthritic that like a bit of bones growing in there. So honestly, bro, at the moment, like I struggle to train legs at all. I can't do any heavy hinging, so like I love RDLs, like heavy RDLs, stiff legs. I can't really do any of that. And I'm even battling to like do cardio. Like I can't walk on a treadmill. I can't go on a cross trainer. I can kind of go on a bike, but just not for too long. So I'm just trying to get that operated on, and it's been a little bit difficult because if I went through this a couple of years ago, I think I would have really struggled because training was pretty much all my identity at that time. But at least now I'm a little bit older. I have a partner. I have a business, and I know I'm not just training is not my life. But in saying that, like going in the gym and just getting after it is the way I deal with my stress and emotion and problem solve things. And it makes me feel confident, and not being able to do that has been a little bit of a struggle. But because over the years I started as a real high volume trainer, and as I've learned about training and sort of find out what works, I have gotten into like a different exercise selection. Like even it's funny you bring up Bennett, because he's probably one of the only other people I've seen do like reverse yoke bar lunges. And that's a movement, that's the sort of movement I love, and I built up real heavy, but then it gets to the point where it's quite heavy that like even if I do it with good form, the risk for reward with my hip is not great. So I need to just get my hip fixed, and then I'm not really sure. I really want to, because before my hip got injured, I was getting quite into like kickboxing, and a bit of grappling as just a break from the hypertrophy training. And I think that's something I want to do, but with the way my hip is, it's a bit genetic as well. And I think that I need to be careful, because I'm going to probably need a hip replacement in the next few years anyway. And they have a shelf life. So I think if I get my hip fixed and then get straight into combat sports, it's probably not going to be too long a time till then I need the replacement. Where the good thing about my hip, and it has been a blessing in disguise, is I've had to learn a lot of stuff about exercise selection, about anatomy, that I didn't necessarily pick up in my study, and I've been able to apply that to my clients, which has, I think, especially when I was down in Dunedin, the sort of training I was prescribing and programming was above and beyond most of the people around me. So I think that was quite a big advantage. But yeah, just at the moment, just trying to keep my hip healthy enough to keep being able to walk, because I can't really walk long distances either. Like it just gets inflamed, and my iliac joint around my back gets inflamed from when my hip gets aggravated. But in saying that, I still train like 5 times a week. I'm still doing cardio 4 times in the morning. I'm still sticking to my food because it's kind of second nature. But I would love to just go in the gym and just get after it on the hack squat, or like but I can't. It's a little bit frustrating. Just send it, eh? But before we were gonna wrap up, I just had some quick fire questions I wanted to roll through with you. So the first one is, if you were put on death row, what would your last meal be? And it's a main and a dessert.
Oh, spaghetti bolognese was the first one that came to mind. Big load up of pasta and and mince. And probably cheesecake would have to be the dessert. Hey, mixed berry, boysenberry, something like that.
Nice. One song to train to for the rest of your life.
Probably Rage Against the Machine. Oh, how gnarly do I want it to be?
Pretty gnarly if it's only going to be one, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking, middle ground. Born of a Broken Man.
Mean. In your opinion, across any sport, the greatest athlete of all time?
Ooh, it's pretty tough. Greatest athlete. Well, I guess if you could think about a sport that's got like a whole lot of different demands, like MMA comes to mind. Like the top of MMA is pretty insane to be able to do all those different modalities. So, who's the best of MMA? I don't know. Conor McGregor?
Probably, or probably John Jones, to be honest, I think, resume-wise.
Yeah, he's a machine. Hey, when's his comeback? That must be coming up soon.
Start of March, I think.
Yeah, sick. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I quite, as much as I'm into bodybuilding and training that, I do like other sports, and particularly I grew up playing tennis and swimming, and then I'm quite into like combat sports. But yeah, you're kind of dead right. I think the combat sports at a high level is it's a different thing to like a lot of team sports. I think unless anyone's ever trained or competed in combat sports, you just don't realise, especially the physical toll on your body. And even like with my hip getting injured, it's actually a lot easier for me to navigate my way through weight training, where when I can't kickbox, like my hip. I think that's actually what really knackered my hip. But I can it's the demands of that are far and wide. So I think picking someone in that space is good. Your favourite movie of all time?
King Richard, speaking of tennis, Venus and Serena Williams' dad, putting them through the ringer. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't, but I should because I'm a massive tennis fan. I'll
It's
be
unreal.
interested because I'm a little bit like, I'm not big fans of them. I'm fans of like them as athletes and how their competitive fierceness, but I'm not sure if it wouldn't have showed in the movie, but they're just the sort of tennis players who have like packed a few unnecessary tantrums over the years, even though they have won so much. So I don't know. I'll definitely watch it, and I think even Will Smith, because it's Will Smith, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, even though he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, I don't know. As an actor, I think he's like obviously the man. So I'll definitely check
Probably
that out.
my old school like favorite movies was always like Bad Boys, which is Will Smith as well. So kind of gotta stick with the OG.
And then your biggest inspiration.
No one comes to mind. I mean, I've always looked up to like being into rugby when I was younger, like All Blacks and NRL players, and then more recently looking up to like top bodybuilders and online coaches and powerlifters. So yeah, no one person in particular, but just people who are at the top of their field in those 5 categories would probably be my inspirations for sure.
Mean. One piece of advice you would give your 10-year-old self.
Probably just back yourself, like take a few risks, and even though if it seems scary, still go after it. Like you can make it work. Might not go smoothly as planned, but if you stick at it, you'll be all good.
Mean. Awesome. Before I wrap up, is there anyone or anything you would like to plug or thank or?
Oh, thank you for inviting me on. It's been cool. Good to catch up. Chinwag.
You're welcome. And then just for anyone listening, make sure you go and follow Radley on Instagram at radley.harahap. But bro, thank you so much for jumping on today. I appreciate your time, and I'm excited for you to keep grinding and doing your thing. But yeah, have a good one, and we'll catch up and have you back on at a later stage. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And for all things Unbroken Performance and myself, hit the links in the description below.